We're discussing a very interesting topic today, maximizing the blessing of unemployment or understanding the benefit of unemployment. It's a very dear topic to my heart, and the reason is very simple. It's because of the big challenge in our community, in our society, in our environment that has made people to take on a kind of life that is not good enough. Not good enough. And what I mean by that is that they are not exploring all the potential and opportunity they have, but rather allowing themselves to be to go with the Joneses. They go with the Joneses because it's because of the big challenge. They go with the Joneses because they believe that because the government has not created employment, nothing can happen. And the government is to be blamed. Why we are not exonerating the government from their responsibility, it's also very important for us to understand that we have a responsibility. You know, there's something that I often talk about, and I realized this immediately I finished NYSC. Let me tell you first thing that occurred to me. Immediately I finished NYSC and I go back to Lagos, I suddenly realized that Nigeria never had a plan for me. And I told myself that since Nigeria does not have a plan for me, I think it's just wisdom for me to have a plan for myself. I think it's just wisdom for me to have a plan for myself, because Nigeria does not have a plan for me. And I'm not sure it has changed. I'm not sure it has changed at all. It's been about 16, 17 years. I'm not sure, 16 years. I'm not sure the situation has changed. So what I'm basically saying is that we need to take responsibility for our life and don't wait for the government. And that's why today we are discussing maximizing the blessing of unemployment. It looks paradoxical. It looks like, does this guy even know what he's talking about? But just patiently follow me, please. And let's explore this together. When someone lost his job, he thinks that that is the greatest tragedy that could befall him in life, because he will not be able to get money to feed himself or feed his family. So it looked like that is the greatest tragedy of all time that could happen to them. Why? The loss of job. The loss of job. But I must say that that's a deception. That's not true. Sometimes it's challenge of public opinion. What will people say about you if you don't have a job? What would they say about you if you don't have a job? The society see you as being irresponsible. These are the things that put pressure on people. It put them under so much pressure. And many of them are unable to maximize their life because they then spend the remaining part of their life trying to look for a job again, and they don't find it, they just barely survive. But I'm saying tonight that on the contrary, losing your job could be one of the most important things that ever happened to you in life. It could be the most important that ever happened to you in life. The challenge of having a job is that you get busy, you get distracted for the rest of your productive life. Listen to that. The challenge of having a job is that you get busy, you get distracted for the rest of your productive life, such that you may never have time to really discover who you are. So job make it difficult for you to ever have time to discover what you are, who you are, or what you have inside of you. You don't have time to discover God. Neither you have time to discover your calling. But job bring you into a vicious cycle that just keep you going with motion, but without movement in life. Job bring you into a vicious cycle where you only experience motion without movement. So this is saying that if you have a job, you must make conscious and deliberate effort to ensure that you are not entrapped by your job. But I'm not addressing people that have a job tonight. I'm addressing young graduates, particularly individuals who don't have a job, who have lost their job, or who have not even been able to secure a job. And if you're a young undergraduate, I can assure you this is a challenge you will confront. Believe it or not. It's a challenge you will confront, believe it or not. So you can likewise prepare for it. You can likewise prepare for it. Whenever you are retrenched or retired or asked to resign, or you discover you don't have something to do because you just finished school, I think it should be a thing of joy because now you have your life. You have your life. This should therefore make you to be happy and excited because God is giving you an opportunity to now begin to live a more meaningful life. This is an opportunity to stop paying attention to yourself. It's an opportunity to stop and discover who you are. One of the greatest things to happen to you is to be fired from a job. Because the job has been taken away from your life. Do you know that work is designed to help you fulfill your destiny, your calling, and your mandate on the earth? And this should therefore be done in your area of calling. But unfortunately, most of us work for salary, not for development of our capacity to be able to deliver value to the world. So when you have a job outside your area of calling that is not being done in preparation for your work in your area of calling, I'm sorry to say that job is a waste. I'll repeat that again. When you have a job outside your area of calling, but you're not doing that job in preparation for your area of calling, not that you're trying to raise money or develop your skill to be able to fulfill your calling, that job is a waste. Do you know that many people are in this mode for a good chunk of their life? Many people are in this mode for a good chunk of their life. Work is supposed to be used as a means of fulfilling your calling. But today, work is being used as a means of survival. So when you lost the job, it brings you back to yourself. When God gave work to Adam, it was not because he was hungry. It was not because they want to survive or they need to survive. It was a means of fulfilling their calling and purpose on the earth. So, the reason why God commissioned work is to be a gift and an instrument for fulfilling your purpose and calling. The reason why God commissioned work is for it to be an instrument, not for survival. But you know, the interesting thing is that if eventually I focus on it, I will survive. It will be an instrument for survival. But that should not be the goal. That should not be the goal. just to survive. That should not be the goal, just to survive. When you're not working for purpose or human capacity development, but rather to pay your bill and make a living, do you know what you are doing? You are selling yourself. You are selling out your future. You are selling out your destiny when you take up a job. Not for human capacity development, but just to pay bills, just to make a living. You are selling out yourself because you are selling your time. You are selling your life because your time is your life. You are selling yourself out. You are selling out your future, and you are selling out your destiny. This is because you are spending major part of your productive time on the job. You are spending major time of your productive life on the job. It is like climbing on the ladder of success and getting to the top only to discover that is leaning on a wrong wall. Only to discover that is leaning on a wrong wall. This means that you have to first come down and put the ladder on the right wall and then start all over again to climb. That is what happens when you are fired and you now have the opportunity to do what you love to do in the first place. I posted a message today. I saw that report of the African Polling Institute, and they did a poll in Nigeria and found out the top comedian in Nigeria, the top comedian, who they started using their phone. When they used their phone. They were not given opportunity. Some of them went for audition. They were not given opportunity. Some of them wanted to be part of this stand-up comedian who have made a lot of name. They were not given opportunity. They were pushed out and pushed aside. But today, because they stuck to their gun, believe in themselves, look inward in themselves, discover what they love to do, which has always been in them, because the research actually showed that most of them already, when they were growing up, when they were young, they were already people that make people laugh. That is their lifestyle. When they were growing up, it was already there. Most of them went into this because there was nothing to do. And you see the blessing of unemployment. It made them to look inward and do what they love because there's no job. That's the blessing of unemployment. That's the blessing of unemployment. I tell you, having a job when you have not discovered your calling could be the source of your frustration in life, could be the source of your health challenges, could be the source of your pain because you don't like where you are going, but you need to go to pay bills. If your job is such that you say, oh my God, it's Monday again. Thank God it's Friday. You are in the wrong place, ladies and gentlemen. You are in the wrong place. Oh my God, it's Monday again. Thank God it's Friday. You are in the wrong place. You are in the wrong place. This youth maximize the blessing of unemployment. They maximize the blessing of unemployment. And you know, someone said, when you give an excuse that you are not able to achieve something because of a difficulty you have, but someone else in similar situation was able to achieve something that you wish to achieve that you're not able to achieve, and giving excuses, you lose the right to give that excuse. That's to tell you that your situation is not peculiar. There's just something you don't know or something you are not doing right that make you to think your situation is peculiar, but your situation is not peculiar. Your situation is not peculiar at all. Your situation is not peculiar at all. You have not just learned on how to maximize the blessing of unemployment. So if this comedian have tapped into themselves, discovered themselves, as young as they are hiring people, some of them 15, 20 people, to be able to do their comedy skit every week. If they are able to do that, you don't have any excuse, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have any excuse. You do not have any excuse. They might discover it accidentally. You are discovering it based on knowledge that there is a blessing in unemployment. And that unemployment can never stop you on your journey to destiny. That you can look inward and do something, but you must stop believe you have something to offer the world. Life becomes sweet and pleasurable when you are moving in the same direction that God is moving by focusing on your area of calling. But when you are not working in your area of calling, it will be like you are swimming against the tide. That's why I say, oh my God, it's Monday again. Thank God it's Friday. When people lose their job, they start to look for another job immediately instead of taking time out to think about their life. What then should you do? Sorry, why then should you rejoice if you lose your job or if you are unemployed? Why should you rejoice? You know, the scripture says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation. Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation. Count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation. How do you rejoice when you fall into diverse trial and temptation and tribulation and challenges of life? When you do not have a job, it gives you opportunity to face your destiny and reconsider your life. It gives you opportunity to face your destiny and reconsider your life. When you don't have a job, you are no more under the control of your job. You are no more under the control of your job. You are no more under the fear of losing the job. After all, you have lost it or you don't even have it at all. You have lost, that fear is no more there. You can breathe a fresh air without pressure to perform and meeting target on the job. Imagine the life of a man as a liquid inside a bottle. And this is being reduced daily as you go and spend it on a job. This is being reduced daily as you go and spend it on a job. So our life is like water in a jar. Our life is like water in a jar. So let me try to do a demonstration. Our life is like a water in a jar. That water is our life. And life is time, time is life. As you get a job, and you go to job every day from when you graduate at 25, your life begins to reduce. Time is going. And not doing anything with your life because you're on a job. So nothing is being done with the life. So let me show you a video. So look at this cup. Look at this cup. Look at this bottle. Just see the bottle. So you see, every day the life is going. Every day the life is going. Can you see it? Every day the life is going. Every day the life is going. So can you see where the water is now? Every day the life is going. As I go home, wake up, go, the life is going. So before you know it, you are 60. The life is almost gone. The life is almost gone. And all I've done in my life is to be on a job. Just surviving. So people, in fact, I was telling a lecturer recently, I said, how on earth could lecturer be saying they want to retire at 70? Why? I know why. I know why. Even though they are professor, many of them don't have a plan for their lives. It's sad. So, you know, that's the difference between education and academics. If you are educated, you are able to examine your environment, question it deep enough, see all the options that exist in it, and know which one to embrace as a matter of supreme importance and urgency. When you are not able to make the right choice, you are not educated. Most professors are not educated. They are only academically qualified. So they are on a job. And they don't want to leave the job. They want to be there till 70. Can you imagine 70? What are you doing? When you should be consulting for different sector and providing solutions as a professor, as a legacy and heritage, you still want to be earning salary. Why? If you are doing succession plan, you should have people to take over from you even at 50 or at 60. Why do you want to become? And they fought until they got it from federal government. 70 years to retire. At 70, what is left? The life is fully gone. And all the years are wasted earning a salary. All the years are wasted earning a salary on a job. On a job. On a job. As you go to the job, the water in the bottle is pouring out. It's pouring out. It's pouring out. It's pouring out, but it's not producing any fruit. It's not producing any fruit. It's being wasted. It's pouring out. It's like you're pouring the water away, because if you pour it on a fertile ground, you will produce results. You'll be fruitful, but there's no fruit. It's pouring out. It's pouring out. It's pouring out. Before you know it, you are 60 already. And you have not fulfilled your calling. How can someone come into this life and the only thing is to survive? What kind of life is that? Just surviving. Just surviving. Just surviving is sad, but that's the situation we find ourselves. So when you go to job, you are going to sow in another man's land. So in another man's land, but in your own land, there's no fruit because the fruit belongs to someone else. There's nothing bad in that if you are doing it to prepare yourself, to develop yourself for your own calling. So if you're on a job for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, that's too much. That's too much. If you must be on that job, you must be doing something on the side. You must be doing something on the side. That is your contribution to humanity. And you know, when you begin to do those things, you will discover that the resources you are looking for is right there inside as you add value to humanity. The job takes your life and give you salary. And this deprives you of fruitfulness in life because you are not in your field. In fact, when you have a job and they pay you very well, they give you a car, give you a house, take you on summer, pay you much more than you can even spend, they have killed you. They have killed you already. They have killed you already. I can bet you, you will do everything to keep that job. You will not be able to leave. They have killed you already. That's why most people on the top, they are so afraid of losing their job. If you are earning $1 million in a month and you have never done business before, what business will you do to be earning $1 million in a month? As a starter, what business will you do? But you're already earning that. So your mouth has widened up and expanded. Because your mouth has widened up and expanded, you will not be able to think. Salary is like cocaine. It's like cocaine. Because it wants you to keep coming back. You have just enough to survive. But like I said, and working on a job for salary can be great if you have found a way to align it with your area of calling, not just for what to eat and what to drink, with your area of calling. It's contributing directly or indirectly. Life is to be used for multiplication of righteousness, peace, and joy on the earth. That is, your life is to be used to glorify the kingdom of God, to multiply the glory of God and his kingdom. The purpose of life must not be for food, must not be for body, but rather for things that has eternal consequences. It must be for things that have eternal consequences, not for survival. To live for eternal consequences is to live life of purpose or calling and for the sake of the kingdom. So if you don't know your calling and you don't know what your calling is, then ask yourself those questions. If you are listening to me for the first time, we had a lot of discussion on this in December. In fact, December session last year was focused on this. So I won't take time on that. So one of the ways the world system enslave you is through your job. You know, the world is a system. Many people don't know that this world is a system. It's run by a few. And the objective, you know, they talk about job creation, job creation, job creation. You think it's because they love you? No. It's because they need more slaves. They don't want you to leave. They need more slaves. They want you to be with them for 30 years, 50 years. But that's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should be. Job blinds you in such a way that you might never be able to fulfill your calling. The dilemma of mankind is so sad because God created man to fulfill purpose on the earth. But for man to do this, man needs to be alive and survive. But in the bid to be alive and survive, mankind forget the real purpose of existence in the first place and begin to focus on being alive and surviving. The man that received the mandate from God to be fruitful is the spirit man. But the body was formed later to house the spirit. But the body now takes precedence over the spirit. We now live for the body, not for the spirit. We now live for the body, not for the spirit. You know, Jesus said, man shall not live by bread alone. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes out of the mouth of the Lord. Man shall not live by bread alone. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord. The instruction of God to the spirit man is that he should focus on living, not on surviving. But the body takes precedence and will live for survival, making us just existing and not living a fruitful life. This is because as long as man is focusing on this instruction of the spirit to be fruitful, he will naturally attract everything he needs to survive. And that is what many don't understand. I don't know how to drive it in. You know, I was talking to someone recently, I think it was last year, about the fact that she needs to do something about her area of calling which she has discovered. But she wants to work. The work is not forthcoming. He would rather wait, doing nothing. Because he doesn't believe in that area of calling, that passion. He doesn't believe in it. He believes it's demeaning. It's like maybe you love cleaning. And you are saying, that, am I going to now be a cleaner? Am I going to be a janitor? Why did you go to school? If you go to school, you know that there is a higher level of cleaning. There's a higher level of cleaning. And that's where you should play. People just look at the lower level of it. Joblessness in your life is a blessing in disguise because it sets you free from control of job. It sets you free from ownership of employer. It's an opportunity to look inward and begin to discover yourself. So I tell my colleague, and I deliberately use that word colleague deliberately. Why? because my desire is to see them do something for themselves. So when people work with me for 3, 4, 5 years and then go to look for a job again in another place because of salary, I feel so sad. I said, how will someone, because I talk to them a lot about this issue, but I'm shocked at the decisions some people still take. And I even tell them that if you start your own business, I will support you. Why? I want you to be your best. I'm not threatening that you are leaving. Why? Because you can't really be with me for life. In as much as I appreciate your stay, but if you go and you are going to do your own thing, it's my joy. Not to look for a job. Looking for a job, I feel like crying because I'm saying, you mean this person has been with me for these years? That means he can't even get what I'm saying. He can't get it. He can't get it. He can't get it. It sets you free from ownership of employer. It's an opportunity to look inward to discover yourself. It makes you to become the owner of your life. Owner of your life. It makes you to now have wealth of time rather than wealth of money. Some people don't know that there is wealth in time. It makes you to now have wealth of time and not wealth of money. You come face to face in touch with the greatest wealth. And this is the greatest wealth. The wealth of time is the greatest wealth. Time is the material from which life is made. Time is the material from which life is made. Remember the picture I showed you? The video, the picture I showed you, the money pouring out? The money pouring out? The life pouring out? You see? Pouring out. As it's pouring out, it's reduced. Can you see that's reduced? Pour out again, it's reducing, it's reducing, it's reducing, till it becomes very small. Till it becomes very small, it's reducing, keep reducing. See, it was here before. Maybe that's age 30. Now, age 70. Yeah, to go. And what has happened? That life pouring out every day is only used for survival. Only used for survival. Time is the material from which life is made. So being fired from your job give you back the material from which your life is made. It gives you back the material from which your life is made. It gives you back the material from which your life is made. It gives it back to you. 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 Look at the clothes I'm wearing. This cloth was made by someone here who already discovered what she wants to do and is working in that direction. And is still in school. And she's already learned this kind of design online, getting the chemicals. You know, when I see those things, those are the things that make me excited. You know why? I just see a future right there. I just see a future right there. Such a person will not finish school and be looking for a job. I'll be looking for a job. But rather, like those comedians, you probably will creating the job. And what's interesting about most of those comedians is that most of them is frustration that made them to begin to do that thing. Some of them was accidental. They did the first skit with their phone, boom, seemed a lot of view. And they discovered that the YouTube can pay them. They can make money on Facebook. You know what? They made it a business. The people selling lights, studio equipment, it's a big business today in Nigeria. Those selling those things. In fact, I was talking to a lady recently and was telling me that the lockdown was a blessing for their business. The lady is an accountant in that company. He said the lockdown was they were making so much money during the lockdown. People were buying and they were using courier to deliver equipment from camera to light to stand to background. I mean, so many things they were selling. Because people suddenly realized that, look, so most of the stand-up comedians have to go online. And these guys in less than 2-3 years, they have followers much more than people that have been there for 10 years. Why? That's the power of your talent and leveraging on adversity. Being fired from your job gives you material from which life is made of back. It prevents you from being tied down for 8 hours every day. It makes you stop spending your life. As human being, you are either wasting your life or spending your life or investing your life. As human being, you are either wasting your life or spending your life or investing your life. When you're on the job, you are spending your life. When you are in your calling, you are investing your life. When you are not doing anything, you are wasting your life. You are wasting your life when you are using it to do things that does not bring you anything, no any. But you are spending your life when you are using it to get income, but you are investing your life when you are working in your area of calling and being fruitful to bless your world. Are you wasting your life, investing your life, or just spending your life? Imagine getting to a restaurant, but there is no food. But you are told that the fridge has raw food, but the kitchen has utensils. If you are still hungry, it's a sign of laziness. It's a sign of lack of creativity, lack of skill prepared to prepare the food. So you are home, there is food in the fridge, but not yet cooked, and you're hungry. And you're saying you're hungry instead of preparing the food. Or get something to eat yourself. You have the raw material already. Stop saying there are no jobs. And stop using it as an excuse to remain idle. This is exactly the case of someone who has time on his hand by being fired from his job or being a young graduate and still saying there is no job, doing nothing. And God said, let there be light. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God said, it was good, and divided light from darkness. He called the light day, and darkness night. When God was creating the earth, the first thing he created was time. Day and night is creation of time. How do we know we have spent 5 days? Because of day and night. The first creation of God was time. The first creation of God was time. The first creation of God was time, and from this God created other things. Evening and morning, day 2, day 3. He began to use that raw materials. When God created the earth, the first thing he created was time. Was time. Because it separates the night from the day. The night is full of darkness and the day full of light. The end result of the creation of light is the creation of time, because this leads to the creation of day and night, which form each day. And each day talks about time. So the light that God created was used to create time. And this time is the functional unit of our life. The time is the raw material from which life is made of. Time is the greatest wealth that you possess as human being. Now, I was talking to someone during the week. He wanted me to come, and he's a banker, and he wanted me to come and speak to one of the conglomerates in Nigeria, building one big factory. They are starting out and they want to export, and they want me to come and talk to their management. And he said it's just 1 hour. And I told him, if I'm going to that place, I will need 2 hours going, 2 hours coming because of traffic. So I'm actually spending 5 hours. I said, look, If you're going to pay me, you're going to pay me for 5 hours. Why? Because I'm actually spending 5 hours. I would rather do it, and I told him I can do it for free if I'm on Zoom, because I will spend 1 hour and I'll continue my work. But if I need to go physically and come back, I will spend 5 hours. Time is so critical for me, because time is the greatest resource we all have as humans. You can convert that time to almost anything. Almost anything. You can convert that time to almost anything that you desire. But you must first see it as wealth. When you see it as wealth, then you convert. We'll be talking more about time in the coming days. A job is a deal whereby you sign a contract to sell a bit of your life piece by piece every day in exchange for a salary. A job is a contract that you agree to sell a bit of your life piece by piece daily in exchange for salary. This makes you to use your productive years to build the dream of others while yours is left untouched, unless that thing you are doing is your area of calling and you even become a partner in the business. Brilliant. Brilliant. You love it and you are a partner. You are a stakeholder. Not just earning a salary. Not just earning a salary. Not just earning a salary. You are just selling your life away. You can't afford to do that, ladies and gentlemen. I encourage a lot of entrepreneurship, even as a staff. I know in some banks, they will say, when I was in bank, they call it conflict of interest. For me, I say it's a slavery. You don't want them to be free. Me, I know that it's a slavery and that you should manage it very well. So I encourage entrepreneurship. Why? My goal is not to create slaves. It's to help people to be free and be able to manifest their best in life. So it's very important while you're on the job, you are planning for your life also. Very important. This makes you to use your productive years to build dream of others while yours is left untouched. Whereas work is a means through which you are able to carry out your life assignment and fulfill your calling on the earth. Work is an instrument through which you are able to release your potential to produce fruit in order to bless your world. To produce fruit in order to bless your world. To produce fruit in order to bless your world. The more your life grow old, the weaker your body becomes. And this makes you to retire. And they said, go and die. They give you pension, basically telling you to go and die. Through work, you are able to become fruitful, and then you can multiply and be a blessing to others. If you get fired on your job in your 20s or your 30s or your 40s, you still have some time in your life. If you're finished, you don't have a job, please. That's one of the best things that can happen to you. Take a cue from those comedy people, young, but some of those guys are millionaires in dollars. Some of those guys are millionaires in dollars. They're very young, but they're making so much money on YouTube. Through work, you are able to become fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and bless others. Having lost your job and gain your life back, then begin to ask yourself, what is it that your life was created for in the first place? And you can now begin to invest in that area. Next week, we're going to be discussing maximizing the use of your time. that time you now have on your hand, how do you maximize it? What do you do? So next we'll be looking at part 2 of this, how you can maximize that time. Maximize that time. The time is on your hand. What do you do with it now? How do you convert that time to value? How do you go about converting that time to value? First of all, realize that the greatest resource you have and you need as human being is not a job, it's your time. 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 Is your time. That's the most important resource. With that at the back of your mind, it becomes a lot easier for you to begin to put into practice the maximizing of that time. You know, as a child, one of the greatest dilemma of a child is looking for how to waste time. Watch movie, play and play and play. You know why? They have not learned how to convert their time. But do you know some adults are like a child who waste their time watching movie, watching football, spending time online, 5 hours on Netflix, because they don't have something to do with that time. Not because they are in the movie industry or in the media and watching those movies, not just to entertain themselves, they are learning from it. But in this case, no, they're just entertaining themselves. We'll continue from here next week. Let me hear from you. Let me hear from you. Let me hear from you. What have you learned tonight? Meshach, can you unmute yourself? Meshach, are you there? Meshach, it's like your sound is not up. Chidi, are you there? You can unmute yourself and speak. Chidi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So maximizing the blessing of unemployment. Very, very, very insightful actually. Because uh for the past 1 year, that is for almost a year now, the university system has been on lockdown. So that is 1 year out of the lives of students that have been put on hold.
And some
But now
people
I think
have been
about it,
busy
and
wasting it away, nothing to show for it.
yeah, yeah. So by the time I look at it, and I'm like, that period was basically as if we were unemployed, and I could feel what it felt like to have so much time in your hands, so much control, and the church system was also shut down, so there was so much time. So it felt like for me I was in charge of my life again. So it's really created that feeling, like you said, of coming to terms with why it is you are indeed created, because you now begin to ask yourself that question when you wake up every morning and you are looking at, okay, so what am I going to do today? What am I going to do? So you begin to ask yourself questions like what you just talked about. So indeed, if one finds yourself in a situation where he's unemployed, it's indeed a blessing, sincerely. You are now opportune to begin to make your choices, to begin to plan to live your life the way the creator had ordained it. Yes. So, but I also have a question from the perspective of starting, right?
Of
So,
what?
after, for example, from the perspective of starting, now,
Starting what?
for instance, someone that I'll try to give a scenario now.
All
For
right.
instance, so someone that just let's say someone in his 30s that just lost his job, right? And the person just lost his job, he managed, so he's going through a trauma of so much bills to take care of and the like. So in that kind of scenario now, 30 is not too old to really start something per se. So, but of course, when you start, you're not going to be able to earn. You're not going to earn in such a way that you've been earning before. And there's also the lot of gestation that will actually take time for whatever it is you are laying your hands upon to manifest. So, in that kind of scenario now, how will someone really, really make the right choices? Fine, the person is doing something, but there's no job forthcoming. So what you kind of sort of recommend? Because indeed, is that gap between starting and whatever it is you're starting being coming into fruition is a space that uh requires a lot of wisdom to actually manage. So I don't. What do you think, sir?
Let me tell you what the person can do. You should get a part-time job so you can get some bill paid. Part-time job is sales. If there's one skill everybody must learn, is the skill of sales. If you know how to sell, I'm telling you, there are a lot of businesses looking for fantastic salesperson. If you can develop that skill of selling, he will take that job on part-time and then use the remaining time to start developing himself. So he can get something to do on part-time so that he can focus, because of course he has to survive. So he can get something to do on part-time. But the first thing is to develop that skill to be able to create value. So if you create value, it can develop, it can work in different organizations who are looking for salespeople and they will pay them commission. So you can take up that kind of job and then, of course, go and, so if it's on part-time, that means he has time to begin to use that time for himself while he's also earning a living on one hand. I don't know if I answered that question, Chidi. Okay, Chidi is having issue with his network. Glory, are you there tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Chidi, yes. Did you get my explanation?
Yes, I got your recommendation as regards getting a part-time job, and yeah, I think that answers it to a level, sir. Thank you,
All right.
sir.
Glory, are you there? Hello, Glory. Okay, Glory is
I'm here, sir.
Go ahead, please.
I'm here, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, in a case whereby, okay, you talked about employment, unemployment, making the best out of it. Okay, so I have a friend who lost her mom recently, and she just finished school, and she's a young graduate. She read education. Her mom was also an educationist.
Glory, just 1 minute, please. Someone is leaving. I hope he has not left. I want him to just stop before. Okay, she has left. Go ahead. Don't worry.
Okay, so he lost. The mother was an educationist with a school, although a growing school. Now she lost her mom, and she said in her own words that is not her passion, that she cannot run it. And people were against her, that why should she just close down the school because she wants to go and get a paid employment.
Hello, Glory.
Sir?
He doesn't need to run it, and he doesn't need to close down the school. If she's wise, what she could have done is to hire a head teacher. She will be the proprietress. That means she can still have a job, and then the proprietor report to her rather than closing it down completely. He doesn't need to be there. They will just report to her, and she gets to know what's going on and maybe visit them occasionally, just like a chairman of a business who is not in the day-to-day running, like the managing director of that business who is in day-to-day running. So he doesn't need to be the one in charge, and at the same time, he can do what he wants to do and be a chairman or proprietress of that business. So he doesn't need to run it. Go ahead.
But she said it's not a passion. That's the issue of her.
Don't be the MD. He doesn't need to be. That's why I'm also supporting her that she should not. But she should not close it down. She can hire someone and pay the person salary.
Okay, sir.
Do you understand? It's not the one that will run it. You just get a professional teacher to run it. Okay. And then the person.
That means we can do businesses without our. That means we can go ahead to do businesses that is not our passion. Is that what you are saying?
No. In this case, it's not really doing the business. They are reporting to her. In her day-to-day life, she does something else.
Okay.
But maybe every weekend she have a meeting with the proprietress, or every evening they discuss to know what's going on.
Okay.
She doesn't go there regularly because someone else is in charge and the person reports to her.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So that's the question I wanted. I just needed to know, have a little
But what have you learned
clarification on
tonight?
that. Okay, you said I picked up. You said you talked about people that work, that you are bothered when they spend 5 years, some years with you, and they go out and also go and get a paid job again. So I learned there that in life, wherever we work is like a platform to build us for the next, for us to own our own enterprise. You get. So that's what I've got. We should not be afraid to go out and do our own thing. We should just see it as a platform God is using to build us for the next level. Sir. That's what I learned, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ngozi, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am, sir.
How is Ife today?
Fine, sir. I've been having quite network issues anyways. I've been trying to connect and reconnect. So I did learn a lot actually. Although unemployment, what I learned, unemployment itself people don't see as a blessing because the pressure it brings and everything. But with tonight I can really identify that really it's like an opportunity to open up. Just like Chidi said, during the lockdown and everything, it was like, because it seems like, especially to students, education is just like a way of buying time. So it's like, you don't really know what you're calling, you don't really know what you're going to get yourself involved in. So like, we just keep buying time for ourselves. Okay, year 1, year 2, year 3, and okay, let's see what comes out of it. And then during the lockdown, it was like, yeah, sit down, what do you want to do with your life? So it's like an opportunity to like open up and really sit back and question some things you do and question your motives in life. So that I learned. And then on time. Can you hear me? I'm not sure my network. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So on time, it's just so amazing though that at the same time it's a general resource. It's something that every individual have. So it's just
of life. Everybody have the same 24 hours every day.
Exactly, and it just makes so much difference with the way we each and every one of us use our time. So it's God is just so just so good really that we don't get to notice these things. So I did but I actually want to ask a question though. Go
ahead.
I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
So, sorry. Okay. Based on, I wanted to know at what time frame can we really say that? I mean, perhaps we didn't get fired or sacked, but they probably were working. At what point can we really calm down and say that, okay, I need to sit back and like brood more on my calling, brood more on my, because I know that education just kind of tosses us around and places us in one place. And just as they said, when doing a job, you don't really get that time to really calm down on yourself and discover who you are. So at what point in time can we say that, okay, I have worked, I want to like brood on my calling, I want to do more about my existence on it when you are not fired?
No, you are supposed to, if you are lucky to have known about that before you finish school, you are supposed to have decided that look, if I finish, if I'm going to get a job, this is the reason why I'm getting a job, and this is the kind of job I'm getting, and this is what I'm going to use to achieve or acquire in terms of skill on that job. So the reason why I'm getting that job is clearly cut out. And even sometimes the timeline I will spend, I give a range of time within which I should have learned or achieved what I'm going there for. So if I knew on time, but if I don't know on time, as soon as I know, or it becomes obvious to me that I need to do something else with my life, then I should take that decision. So I won't say this is a specific time. For me, the earlier the better. The earlier the better. So if you get to know before you finish school, brilliant. So finishing school, you know this is exactly what I want to go and do. If this does not work, I will go for this. So I will take a job and do this after. If the job is not coming, I'll just go for what I want to do. I mean, just
All
take
right.
that decision early enough. The earlier, the better, in my opinion.
All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Ayomide Oluwasegun, are you there? Hello, Ayomide.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir. I'm fine, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually joined late, but I learned something about time and maximizing the blessing of unemployment.
Yeah.
So, okay, my question, I have a question. The
Go ahead.
question is, okay, for someone that is working, just because of you have to pay bills and also meet some other needs, working from morning till evening, and has not started um I just started fulfilling his calling or doing anything related to a passion. So what can we should you advise that person that, okay, because the job is actually taking most of your time, you should leave the job? The person don't have time to even start with, like, go into what she wants.
The
So
person,
should you just advise the person that she should leave the job
the
so
first
like
thing the person should
she
do
can?
is to first of all discover what does he want to do. He can't just leave. What does he want to do? What does he have discovered about himself? Then, how does he begin to do that? If he discovers himself, it might require him to do some personal development. So what he should now begin to do is spending the evening or weekend to be able to do that personal development. So what is important is that I've discovered what I want to do, and I'm using and maximizing my time on the job to learn more or to acquire resources to be able to develop myself in that area until I'm ready to venture out. And one of the ways to test your venturing out is when you're on leave. You have about 30 days to be able to try out some things, or even on weekends. Like a lady that wants to have a creche, they want to have a motherless baby home. She just loves taking care of children. And I told her, why don't you visit motherless babies home on weekends? And she's been doing that. She discovered one in her area. She's been going to visit them. She's been learning, asking questions, preparing herself. So she's investing and preparing. So she knows that, okay, I need to get this kind of apartment. This is what it will cost me. I need to get this stuff. So it's living her life now, making money to be able to fulfill her calling. So it might take another 5-10 years to be able to raise the money and then venture out. But the job then makes sense. It's not now doing the job for salary. It's now using it to raise money for her dream. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So that kind of person, I would say she should leave until she has enough money to go and start. When he starts, he has enough money to run the stuff for about a year. By the time he begins to run it, he can begin to source for funds from individuals and companies. And companies will be willing to, if she has put her money, they can see what she's doing. Everybody wants to support her. I don't know if I've answered your question, Ayomide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been another interesting evening. We'll continue on this tangent next week. We will now drill more into that time. How do we manage the time? How do we convert the time and be able to maximize that time to be used to glorify God on the earth? Thank you very much for being able to make it tonight. See you next week, Saturday. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.